Hello boys and girls, and welcome back to Let's Play Deadly Rooms of Death. In the last part, we stopped at this room. Can you guess what's gonna happen in this room? Haha, you probably can't. Actually, this room is very tricky. This is gonna be really fun to do, but I've done this like a million times already. I'm tired. The moment when you have to redo, when you play through the game once, then you have to redo it again to test it, then you have to redo it to record it. It becomes a lot. These aren't easy to make, at least good quality. I don't even make them probably the best quality I could make them. It's just because it's a lot of work. In any case, this is going to be probably the hardest. Okay, that's a lie. This isn't going to be the hardest room in the entire level, but it's going to be one of the harder ones. And even then, it's still very simple, as you'll soon learn.
Mimics at once? There's only so much a budkin can take.
Yeah, there really is only so much a budkin can take. But in reality, this shouldn't be too hard. What we got here is we got, let's see, we got this Roach Queen, and we basically got to get all 8 mimics to all 8 of these switches. And then, well, not all 8, 7 of them to these switches, and then 1 more through this gauntlet. We don't want any baby roaches to get out because it's going to be a project to get to them. And basically to open up all these guys, we have to go through here. So let's begin. So the secret to this is this isn't actually as hard as it looks. You're probably thinking that sounds absurd. Well, because it is absurd. No, but really. Basically, what we have to do is just focus on 1 mimic at a time. That might seem counterproductive, but trust me, it's not, if you happen to think it is. Focusing on 1 mimic at a time, we start to learn things that we didn't know before. We also have to make sure that our sword is turned in such a manner where we don't really get affected by what should I say? We don't get affected too much by the these movements. So we just gotta do some fancy maneuvering. You can kind of see what mimic I'm probably focusing on, and we just gotta do this. This is literally how we solve this room. It is tedious, but probably a good challenge would be to put all 8 mimic or all 7 mimics in at once, if that's even possible. If you really wanted to give a nightmare challenge to somebody, that would probably be the way you do it. That's how I would do it. So this is just me right now figuring out where I can and can't go, because I need to work with these mimics, and I don't think it really matters where any mimic gets. If they get into a spot where it's kind of bad, I don't really think it matters too much, because it's just how much maneuvering room we actually have is enough to work with any particular area. So we also want to make sure we do not hit the switch. Itchy ears. We also want to make sure we don't hit the switch, because if we do, well, it's going to lead to some problematic times. Not really, but if it is possible to get the to get it out of order, is why I'm calling it problematic. So by out of order, I mean that you could have one toggled on, or these switches aren't just open, they're toggle. So if you hit one switch and have it open and then hit another one while it's closed, while this one hits it while it's open, you'll have them uneven and it'll be impossible to fix it. So a good idea is just to make sure they don't hit the switch in the first place. And the little secret here is trying to get around here, because this is a little tricky. So it looks like most of our mimics are in good positions. But I think for the most part we should be able to work around most of these mimics. It doesn't, I mean, there's really not much more to say. This is it. This may seem like it's really problematic. It is. I promise it is. It's problematic. But again, it's not really too hard because it doesn't matter where they get, you'll be able to get them back. Just gotta make sure early on that they don't stab themselves, because that would be a problem if they did. I do like this puzzle in the sense I like these, like, I don't usually like mimics. I'm gonna be blatantly honest. It's just because of how many times I've done them that eventually they get on my nerves, and it's kind of just that they're really hard to work with sometimes. But I don't hate mimics. Like, there's rooms like when we did that multi-4 room. I enjoy rooms like that because it's like a different spin on the usual, and I like it. So this is what I meant by fancy maneuvering, is that no matter where they are, you will get them back. And actually, I probably could have gotten him somewhat down more than I did. What am I talking about? I could have probably got him on that bottom area. I didn't have to bring them all the way around, but I just don't know where I'm going, so it's fine. There's really no good way to go about this. But anyway, I guess the biggest challenge of this room is how do you get first place? How do you do this as quick as possible? That'd probably be the most interesting challenge, and I'm sure a lot of people have competed for first place on this. It just, there's so many different possibilities of moves that it would be quite difficult. I would like to see the fastest way done so far and see how insane this is, because this is probably nowhere near fast. You're gonna not even see 23rd place or anything, and I just completely zoned out there. You don't actually need to go up there. You need to get them up here. And so now what we can do is we can get them up and then close them in, and then we can go back down. Make sure the roach doesn't spawn any babies. And make sure we are set where we were. Oh! Make sure we're back in business. Make sure the roach doesn't spawn anything. And room clear. So, yeah. I didn't look like I get any score, but that's okay. So next we want to go up. And we got this project of a room. This is probably one of my least favorite rooms in this entire level. It's just because it's nothing really too new that we've done. And it's just kind of tedious. It really is. This is a really, really tedious room. So, bear with me as I go through my tediousness of this room. We don't have to worry about anything in there. The main problem is getting a mimic in there. So, the main point of this puzzle is you have to open these up in a certain order. Order is important. For example, this will open up to that. So we're going to have to devote a mimic to up in there. And we got to keep in mind where we're devoting our mimics to. Making sure we don't... This is probably... For example, this Wraithwing is the last thing we're going to want to kill. And... Or at least one of the last things. And another thing to keep in mind is something like this whole area to the left, we're going to have to devote 2 mimics to. One mimic to get this switch, and one mimic to hit this switch, while we get everything else. So we'll need 2 mimics for there, but first, let's have one less mimic on our hands. We know that whatever goes in there is going to be trapped for good. So what do we do to get something in there? We go in there. We don't go in there ourselves, but, you know, we send something in there. There is more than enough movement room, though, so you don't need to worry about neither or getting something too stuck. Because, again, so much maneuvering room that you will get through. But anyway, once we get that through, we can get both of these guys out. And now, normally, you could use one of them to get to this middle area right here, but the thing is there's already so many roaches, there's no reason to worry about it right now. What we should be worrying about is down here. When I mean worrying about down here, I mean literally worrying about down here. Because we are going to have to get a mimic in there, and we're going to have to get ourselves in there. It's not an easy project, even if it seems like one. So what we can do is, if I can help it, I think I've already messed up. As my goal was to get... Okay, one of them stuck in there. This is actually going to require me to reposition a little bit. Yeah, we need to get... Okay, there we go. And then we got to get him stuck in there. And then once we're in here... we can go ahead and position ourselves. The only real secret to this is how do we safely get through, and I guess that's how we do it. And then once we safely get it, we can go back down here, and then we should not have maneuvered ourselves too badly where we can't get out. So yeah, that's how that's done. Not easy at all. This isn't really making me feel cheerful. Let's just say that. I don't like this room. Alright, so the secret to this now is we're going to need him to be right next to that switch. As we go in and out of this. I think it should be okay. I don't think, again, there's anywhere we can put the Mimic to where we cannot get out. And then we finish the room by killing the Wraithwing. That was that room. I hope you enjoyed it. It's pretty long. In any case, we're going to go this way. And we got an interesting room here. So what we have to do is actually use this Mimic to kill that Roach. Then we have to work on getting this Mimic down here. If you're wondering what the whole purpose of this is, trust me, it has a purpose. And this is the purpose. Yes, we're walking the same exact maze, just different variation. So we have to work through this maze while this Mimic is working through the maze. And it may seem a little troublesome. But there are a few things we can do. And actually, when I was testing this, I solved this really quickly, and I don't even know if I'll be able to do it as quickly as I did before. Okay, yeah. For example, if you go right here, we can jump right here, and we cannot go down because of how the arrow is, but we will be able to escape once we reposition ourselves. And so we can kind of use that to our advantage. How so? I don't know. That's up for you to decide. We just gotta make sure we leave it as soon as possible. Now there is an easy way to do this, and there's a hard way. And actually, I'm doing this the hard way. We can actually use any of these, really. Like if you really go to like this one, we can go back up while he goes down. And we can just kind of reposition ourselves in ways like that. So it's not like this is impossible. If anything, though, I don't want to go that much down. But we just gotta kind of position ourselves in a nice format like this. There we go. Oh. Like so. So it's just working through the maze and understanding where you need to go, because you can't go to the right side, and we gotta keep the Mimic trapped on the arrow to reposition him. So that's actually a really hard room. I made it look easy, but that takes a lot of time when you first do it. This room is also a nightmare. I forgot what the challenge is already. Well, yeah, I kind of already forgot what this challenge is. What was it again? It's something like only hitting an orb once or something. Here, anyway, I'll show you how to do this room. So basically, In the end, we're going to have the Mimic touch up here. We can't get to that switch. You would think you have to put the Mimic there, but you actually do not. Where you want to put the Mimic is somewhere else. Actually, this is where you want to put the Mimic, is up here, to get him out. You don't need to put it... Yeah, you don't need to put the Mimic here, because the Mimic is going to end up here, finishing here. And when we go up here, we can actually just make this roach walk out himself. So, it's a little trick that they try to pull on you. So, this Mimic has so much maneuvering room, we don't have to really worry about where he is. It will get tricky to maneuver him around here, but it's okay. So we can use this as our escape route, and we can start maneuvering this Mimic. Now, this Mimic is going to be really hard to maneuver, again, because of tight corridors, really tight corridors. This is like... This room that I'm in right now is probably one of your better rooms to be in. Just because... They're really, again, I mean, look, I can barely maneuver this Mimic to where I wanted to get him to. Now, there are other places that you do not need the Mimic, like right here. I mean, yeah, I'm getting out of there. And where we actually want this Mimic, I think, is in here. Okay, I never realized this, but hitting the switch actually opens this up. So what I'm going to do, which I think the challenge might be not to hit that. I never actually realized that you don't have to hit that. Okay, but first things first, make sure this this roach gets through, like that. So he's not trapped. Another use of diagonal jumping, why it's a good thing to know. But, again, I think it's... yes. So this is a tricky little bit. I'm not sure, I think we want to get the Mimic trapped in there. I always forget, though. Okay. Oh, this is why this is hard. Okay. The only way to open this is hitting this switch, and I can't actually get in there now, so the Mimic is stuck. But the thing is when we hit the switch, it closes off again. Alright, let's go back. I don't know when I last checkpointed, so I'm just gonna back it up, but challenge probably implements something like that, but I forgot that you cannot enter. You have to enter with the Mimic. So you're gonna be in there with the Mimic. And then where the Mimic is, I guess, depends on how you position yourselves. I don't know if this is another case of we can maneuver this Mimic to where we want to maneuver him to. Because I believe we want the Mimic in there ourselves. Getting us in there, it's hard for us to get out, and it's easy to control the Mimic from in here. So I just prefer to use and keep the Mimic in there. So next up on our agenda, we want to... yeah, we need this open up to get the Mimic out. Something like that. There we go. Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. This is another classic case of how do we get this Mimic out of here. I'm going to want to use... I think I'm going to... There's not many checkpoints in this room. I think I want to use this checkpoint. Because I don't know what the challenge is. And if I'm thinking what the challenge is, what I think... I haven't done this challenge before. And I'm wondering if it's what I'm imagining it as. I'm not sure, though. So just for the safe side, I'm not going to... I'm just going to checkpoint in the event that I can fix it. It may not be doable at this point, though. I don't know. So we can We can try to maneuver this mimic to where we need to get him to, but he's still really hard to maneuver. Really hard to maneuver. But I think we're going to be able to get him to where we want to get him to, which is that switch. Oh, this is really hard. Alright, so that mimic is there. We can make sure that roach gets through. And now there's going to be, the challenge is going to be something really ridiculous. I know it. Let's see. Don't strike either of the northern two most orbs. Yeah. It's just as I feared. So you know how we had to use this switch to hit this and open this up? Yeah, we can't do that anymore. The challenge is to not use that switch. To not strike the two northernmost orbs. So we can't hit this switch, and we cannot hit this switch. Now there is something I just thought of. I didn't think of it last time when I was testing. Is that we could just actually place this mimic right here and have the mimic go in here ourselves. The only thing we won't be able to do ourselves is go in there. But there's really no reason to, so it's alright. So for now, I'll keep the mimic in there. He's not doing any harm. Let's just clear what I can clear. And even, it's nice to have that checkpoint just in position. And now our goal is to get that mimic out of there. I guess that's why this is kind of challenging, is because when he gets in there, it's not the easiest task to get him out. But no, it wasn't that bad. Alright, so now what we got to think about is we know that this opens up thanks to the switch. This switch opens this switch. So our problem here is we need to be able to hit this switch. I think, though, this won't be too bad. Once we hit the switch and open this up, though this closest to the switch, we can just put the mimic back in here after the switches. So after we get him out, we can keep the mimic in there. Alright. So I think I solved it. At least the challenge. I know what I need to do. And it may not be the easiest thing to pull off, but I know what I need to do, and that's what I'm happy to know. I don't like his positioning. I need him to be in there before I get in there. So, like we did last time, get him in there, let him do all the heavy duty work. We can even go ahead and kill some of these queens. And then when we get through, we can actually go ahead and hit this switch. This is like ridiculous. I don't even know. Of course, oh yeah, we got to get him in position. Alright. And then how I solve this is now we keep the mimic in there, and now we can utilize this. We do not need him anymore. Wow, this actually might be easier than the actual solution. Maybe just a tad bit easier. Challenge completed. Mimics were born free. Yes, they were. So that's actually a fun challenge. I like that. So anyway, I'm going to make this part really long because we are in a few more rooms left, I believe. Maybe. I might bite to eat those words. I think there's only 2 rooms left. And, I think. Let's see. Yeah, there may be only 2 rooms left. Let me see. Yes, there's 3 rooms left. Okay, well, we'll do that next time then. Next time, let's play Deadly Rooms of Death. See you then, everybody.